The universe learned a terrible lesson the day humans stopped asking why and started asking how. How to hunt demons. How to terrify creatures that fed on terror. How to turn extinction into revenge. For 10,000 years, the Galactic Union believed fear was their enemy. They never imagined it could be a weapon. The Union capital, Aurelia Prime, floated in perfect silence at the center of known space. A ring-world of silver and light, it had once been a symbol of peace. Now it was a refuge packed with survivors from 100 shattered worlds. Admiral Tarex Vol, a four-eyed Varelian with skin like pale glass, stood before a massive star map. Entire sectors were dark. Not unexplored. Dead. The Vorkai fell last night, an aide whispered. Tarex closed his eyes. Another world gone. Another species erased. For 3 years, the demons had poured through the rift, creatures the Union called the Morthal. Tall shapes of living shadow, bodies rippling like smoke wrapped around fire. They didn't conquer. They fed. Cities weren't bombed, they were terrorized for weeks until despair soaked the planet like poison. The Morthal regenerated from plasma, laughed at antimatter, and drank fear as fuel. The more terrified their prey, the stronger they became. No fleet could stop them. No weapon could kill them. And now, they were coming for the core worlds. Admiral, another officer said quietly, the council is ready. Tarex turned and walked into the chamber where the last leaders of the Union waited. Dozens of species sat in silence. Some had lost their homeworlds. Some had lost their gods. We are out of time, Tarex said. The Morthal will reach Aurelia within 6 months. A low murmur spread through the chamber. What about the humans? A crystalline being asked. They joined only 40 cycles ago. Several leaders shifted uncomfortably. Humans were strange, short-lived, emotionally volatile, prone to violence. Their technology was impressive but crude compared to elder races. And yet, wherever humans fought, things changed. We have avoided this, the council speaker said, because we fear what they might become. Tarex's voice hardened. We should fear extinction more. Earth did not look like a war world. Green continents, blue oceans, cities glowing softly beneath clouds. From orbit, it seemed calm, peaceful, harmless. The Union delegation arrived at Fort Aegis, a human military complex buried deep beneath a mountain range. No banners, no welcoming music, just steel doors and silent guards. General Elias Crow waited for them. He was old. His hair was grey, his face lined with scars and exhaustion. But his eyes were sharp, predator eyes. You're asking for our special forces, Crow said after the introductions. Yes, Tarex replied. Your most capable ones. Crow leaned back slowly. That's a dangerous request. We have no alternatives. Crow studied the alien admiral for a long moment. Do you know why humans are afraid of the dark? Tarex hesitated. Because of predators. Crow shook his head. Because for most of our history, we were the predators. And we remember what we're capable of. He tapped a console. A hologram appeared, not of weapons, but of people. Men and women with empty expressions. Eyes trained to kill without hesitation. These aren't soldiers, Crow said. They are hunters. We don't deploy them openly. We don't celebrate them. We lock their records away because if people knew what they do, they'd lose sleep. They fight demons, Tarex said. Creatures that feed on fear. Crow smiled grimly. Then they picked the wrong galaxy. 3 days later, Protocol Black Echo was activated. Across Earth, alarms no one could hear went off. In frozen wastelands, a woman stopped skinning an animal and looked at her wrist display. In a desert bunker, a man put down a book titled Psychological Collapse Under Extreme Stress. In an underwater base, a figure rose from the shadows and began packing weapons that had never been used on living beings. They did not ask questions. They never did. The human strike force assembled aboard a stealth carrier unlike anything the Union had ever seen. No markings. No insignia. The ship barely existed on sensors. Commander Rhea Kane stood at the front of the briefing chamber. She was lean, calm, and utterly emotionless. "The Morthal think fear belongs to them," she said. "Our mission is to correct that misunderstanding." A projection showed a demon hive world, a planet twisted into living nightmare architecture. "We will not fight them openly," Kane continued. "We will enter. We will isolate. We will hunt." Someone at the back chuckled softly. "We will show them what fear feels like when it has nowhere to run." Far away, within the rift, the Morthal sensed something new. Not terror. Not despair. Something sharp. Focused. Cold. For the first time in millions of years, the demons hesitated. Something was coming. Something that did not scream. Something that waited. The Morthal hive world was called Narration by the Union. By the demons, it had no name. It was simply feeding ground. From orbit, Narration looked wounded. The planet's surface was cracked and black, veined with rivers of glowing red energy. Entire cities were grown, not built, spires of bone and shadow rising like broken teeth. The air itself screamed with psychic noise. Union fleets had never dared to come this close. The human ship Silent Mercy slipped into orbit without a ripple. No lights. No transmissions. No fear. Commander Rhea Kane watched the planet through a narrow viewport. Her heartbeat was steady. It always was. "This is where they feel strongest," said Dr. Marcus Hale, the team's psychological warfare specialist. "High fear density. Constant suffering." "Good," Kane replied. "That means they're comfortable." The transport pods detached one by one, falling toward the surface like invisible knives. The demons felt them arrive. The Morthal did not see with eyes. They sensed emotion, intention, fear. Entire civilizations glowed to them like fires in the dark. But these arrivals were wrong. 48 shapes moved through the atmosphere without emotional signatures. No panic. No rage. No excitement. Nothing. Confusion rippled through the hive mind. Where is the fear? The pods struck the surface deep inside a ruined city. They didn't explode. They didn't announce themselves. They opened silently. The operators emerged like ghosts. Specialist Jonah Pike took point, his rifle humming softly with suppressed energy. Around him, the city pulsed, walls breathing, shadows shifting. "This place is alive," someone whispered. "Everything bleeds," Pike replied calmly. They moved in pairs, spreading through the city's lower levels. No comm chatter unless necessary. Each operator carried tools designed not just to kill, but to teach lessons. The first demon encountered them by accident. It drifted around a corner, tall and burning, its red eyes flaring as it sensed confusion. Before it could react, Pike was already moving. A device struck the demon's chest and unfolded like a metal flower, anchoring itself into shadow flesh. The creature shrieked, not in pain, but in surprise. The device activated. It didn't explode. It broadcast. A focused pulse of memory, sensation, and emotion flooded the demon's mind. Not fear, human fear. Centuries of it. Prey panic. Dying soldiers. Trapped children. Helplessness distilled into pure experience. The demon collapsed, its form flickering wildly. "What is this?" it screamed into the hive mind. Pike leaned close. "A sample." He ended it with a single shot. Across the city, similar encounters unfolded. The humans did not rush. They did not charge. They set traps. Demonic patrols vanished. Hive nodes went silent. Feeding chambers became slaughter zones. The Morthal adapted quickly, sending larger groups, stronger forms. That only made it worse. Operator Lena Cross stood over a captured demon pinned to the ground by gravitic spikes. It thrashed weakly, shadows leaking like smoke. "You feed on fear," she said softly. "So do we." She activated a neural echo device and stepped back. The demon began to scream. Not because of pain, but because it was reliving the deaths of its own kind, again and again, from the human perspective. The shock of ambush. The helplessness. The sudden understanding of being prey. The hive mind recoiled. Demons across Narration staggered as the emotion spread. Fear. Their fear. Inside the hive core, ancient entities stirred. They had ruled terror for eons. No prey had ever turned the hunt. This is unnatural, the hive whispered. These beings do not fear us. They are enjoying this. Commander Kane watched the battlefield feed with cold focus. Phase 2, she ordered. Human beacons activated across the city, projecting false fear signatures, millions of them. Screaming echoes, panicked crowds, dying civilizations. The demons surged toward them in hunger, and walked straight into human kill zones. Explosions bloomed without sound. Reality-tearing rounds shattered shadow bodies beyond regeneration. Psychological weapons carved scars the hive mind could not heal. For the first time since the rift opened, a demon world burned in silence. High above, Union sensors finally detected something. Fear waves, collapsing. What's happening on Narration? An analyst whispered. Admiral Tarex stared at the data in disbelief. The demons, he said slowly. They're retreating. On the surface, Rhea Kane reloaded calmly. Status, she said. Enemy confusion increasing, Hale replied. Hive cohesion breaking down. Kane nodded once. Good. That means they're learning. She looked toward the towering hive spire at the city center. And we're just getting started. Far within the rift, something ancient and terrible opened its eyes. For the first time in eternity, it felt something new. Not hunger. Not dominance. Dread. The Morthal had never known silence. Their existence was woven from it, terror humming through the hive mind like a living current. Fear had always been loud. Always plentiful. Always theirs. Until Narration went quiet. Across the demon world, entire districts had stopped feeding. The psychic background noise that once roared like a storm now flickered, broken and uneven. The hive mind pulsed in confusion. Something was wrong. Deep within the hive core, the elder confluence gathered. Vast, ancient entities fused together in a cathedral of shadow and flame. They had witnessed the rise and fall of galaxies. They had never retreated. These creatures do not break, one elder hissed. They do not beg, whispered another. They do not fear, the confluence agreed. That last realization shook them. Fear was supposed to flow one way. On the surface, the human operators adapted just as quickly. They're changing tactics, Commander Kane said. Smarter movements. Less clustering. Good, Dr. Hale replied. That means they're thinking instead of feeding. And thinking means doubt, Kane said. Doubt leads to fear. The humans shifted approach. They stopped attacking hive nodes directly. Instead, they targeted symbols. Shrines. Feeding chambers. Places where demons gathered to celebrate dominance. They left behind messages. Not written words. Scenes. Operator Jonah Pike stood inside a massive feeding hall. Thousands had once been harvested here. The walls still pulsed with residual terror. He placed a small device in the center and stepped away. The projection activated. A single human figure appeared, kneeling, hands bound, terrified. Then the scene reset. Again. And again. But each time, the human adapted. Each time, the human fought back harder. Until the final loop ended with the demon falling instead. The recording spread through the hive mind like poison. This is learning, a Morthal screamed. Elsewhere, Lena Cross and her team captured a demon commander, an entity that had consumed fear across 100 worlds. They didn't kill it. They released it. But first, they changed it. Neural imprints burned human concepts into its mind. Anticipation, regret, self-awareness. The understanding of future suffering. The demon fled into the hive, carrying something far worse than injury. It carried memory. Across Narration, demons began to hesitate. They lingered in shadows. They avoided open spaces. They gathered in smaller numbers. Prey behavior. The hive mind strained to suppress the spread, but human weapons did not just kill bodies. They scarred minds. At Union command, alarms blared. "What's happening?" a council member demanded. Admiral Tarex stared at the data streams in awe. "The demons are broadcasting distress signals," he said slowly. "Not tactical warnings. Emotional ones. They're afraid." Tarex nodded. "Of being hunted." Commander Kane stood at the edge of the hive spire. Below her, the city writhed weakly. "Phase 3, she said. The operators deployed the final tool. Silence generators. They didn't attack demons directly. They erased fear from the environment itself. No screams. No panic. No psychic noise. To the Morthal, it was like suffocating underwater. Their strength faded. Their regeneration slowed. Their connection fractured. They had built their civilization on endless terror. Humans turned it off. Inside the hive core, the elder confluence panicked. "This cannot continue. We are fading. We are becoming mortal." They made a decision they had never made before. They withdrew. Entire hive tendrils folded inward. Portals collapsed. Feeding grounds were abandoned. The Morthal fled Naraxis. The humans did not pursue. Yet. Commander Kane watched the last shadow vanish into the rift. "They'll regroup," Hale said. "Learn from this." "Yes," Kane replied. "And we'll let them." She turned back to the team. "They think survival is victory." Her eyes hardened. "We're going to teach them what comes after survival." Far away, within the rift itself, the ancient intelligence that ruled the Morthal finally understood the truth. Humans were not prey. They were not rivals. They were evolution given teeth. And now, they were coming. The retreat of the Morthal should have been celebrated. For the first time in 3 years, worlds stopped burning. Refugee convoys slowed. Panic across Union space faded into something fragile and unfamiliar. Hope. But Admiral Tarex did not celebrate. He had watched too many wars to mistake silence for peace. Union sensors tracked the demons withdrawing deeper into the rift, collapsing pathways behind them. No counterattacks followed. No ambushes. Just absence. "They're afraid," a strategist said softly. Tarex shook his head. "No. They're learning." Across Union space, the story spread. Whispers at first. Then data logs. Then impossible recordings. Human operators walking unafraid through demon cities. Demons fleeing from shadows. Fear turning back on itself. The youngest species in the Union had done what no elder civilization could. They had made monsters hesitate. On Earth, General Elias Crow watched the aftermath reports alone. No press conferences. No celebrations. Protocol Black Echo was still classified beyond extinction-level clearance. Crow knew why. "Victory like this," he murmured, "changes things." Beside him, Commander Kane stood at attention. "The operators are ready," she said. "Awaiting next phase." Crow studied her carefully. "Do you feel anything about what you've done?" Kane thought for a moment. "Purpose." Crow nodded grimly. "That's what scares me." Inside the rift, the Morthal hierarchy fractured. Some demanded immediate retaliation. Others urged deeper retreat. And some whispered heresy. What if the humans are right? Fear was not meant to be shared. Yet now it infected the hive like a disease. The demons tried a new strategy. They struck not with armies, but with messages. Across Union channels, psychic broadcasts flooded civilian networks. Visions of human brutality. Scenes from Earth's violent past. Wars. Executions. Despair. "Look at them," the demons whispered. "This is what they are." The Union Council panicked. "If the public sees this, they'll turn on humanity," another said. Tarex watched the feeds silently. Then something unexpected happened. Humans did not deny it. A transmission went out from Earth. Not military. Not classified. Public. A human woman stood before the camera. No uniform. No weapons. Yes, she said calmly. We have done terrible things. We always have. Images appeared behind her. Wars, disasters, suffering. But we learned from them. New images followed. Rescue teams. Rebuilt cities. Hands reaching into rubble. We do not pretend to be perfect, she continued. We choose to be better. The broadcast ended with a single line. If fear comes for us, we will face it. The Union watched in stunned silence. The demons recoiled. This was not fear. This was defiance. Back on Narration, human beacons activated again. But this time, they did not project terror. They projected hope. Recovered memories from liberated worlds. Children laughing. Survivors rebuilding. The Morthal felt it like acid. Their feeding grounds poisoned by something they could not consume. Inside the rift, the ancient intelligence finally screamed. Stop them. Kill them. Erase them. But the humans were already moving. Commander Kane's team advanced toward the rift's edge, not to invade. To map. To understand. To prepare. We're not ending this war, Kane said quietly. We're changing its rules. Admiral Tarex stood before the council once more. What happens now? Someone asked. Tarex exhaled slowly. Now, he said, the galaxy decides whether humanity is its shield, or its reckoning. In the dark between galaxies, the Morthal huddled around their dying certainty. They had ruled fear for eternity. Now fear had learned something new. It could fight back. The Morthal had always believed fear was infinite. That it could never be exhausted. That no species could endure it long enough to resist. They were wrong. At the edge of the rift, the fabric of reality twisted like a wound that refused to close. This was where the demons had entered the galaxy. Where terror had first spilled into the stars. Now, a human fleet waited there. Not massive. Not glorious. Silent. Admiral Tarex watched from the Union command vessel as the human ships took position. No formation meant to impress. No banners. No threat displays. They're not attacking, a council strategist said, confused. No, Tarex replied quietly. They're ending something. Inside the lead human vessel, Commander Rhea Kane stood before a projection of the rift. Around her, operators prepared devices never meant to be used on a battlefield. Dr. Hale finished calibrating the final sequence. This will work, he said. But there's no going back. Kane nodded. There never is. The plan was not to destroy the rift. It was to change it. The Morthal fed on fear because the rift amplified emotional energy. Humanity would invert it, turning the rift into something that reflected what passed through it. Fear would echo back as fear. Hope would echo back as hope. And humans were very good at enduring both. Within the rift, the ancient intelligence felt the shift too late. Something was rewriting the rules. The humans did not charge in screaming. They stepped forward calmly. And the rift listened. The first wave of feedback struck the Morthal like a storm. Every fear they had consumed. Every scream they had stolen. Every moment of helplessness. Returned. Multiplied. Focused. Demons collapsed, their forms unraveling as centuries of stolen terror crushed them from within. They had never learned how to endure fear. They had never needed to. Across Union space, sensors went wild. The rift is stabilizing. No, shrinking. The Morthal signals are collapsing. Worlds that had lived under constant dread felt it lift like a suffocating fog. For the first time in years, children slept without screaming. The ancient intelligence tried to flee. It failed. It had nowhere left to hide from itself. Its final thought echoed across the dying hive. We should never have come here. When the rift finally closed, it did not explode. It folded in on itself. Quietly, like a door being shut. The galaxy waited. Then it breathed. Days later, the Union Council reconvened. No alarms. No panic. Only awe. The Morthal are gone, Tarek said. Not destroyed entirely, but broken. Scattered beyond cohesion. A council member asked the question none could avoid. And humanity? Tarex looked toward the stars where Earth lay. They saved us, he said. And they chose not to rule us. On Earth, Protocol Black Echo was terminated. The operators returned to shadows. To silence. To lives no one would ever know. Commander Kane stood one last time with General Crow. Do you think the galaxy will fear us now? She asked. Crow considered the question. Yes, he said. And respect you for it. Humanity did not build statues. They did not demand tribute. They returned to exploration. To creation. To curiosity. But the galaxy remembered. Among the stars, a new truth spread faster than light. If you bring fear to humanity, they will endure it. If you unleash monsters on humanity, they will hunt them. And if you threaten the galaxy itself, humanity will answer. Not with screams, but with resolve.